Welcome back to Sitting with Ashley. I'm Ashley. This is Trauma Talks, and if you watched the first one, as promised, I don't think anyone did, I don't know. I'm going to talk about my experience being trafficked. That is the word I use for it. I was, so let me explain. It took me a long time to settle on that being the word to describe what I experienced, because it was the betrayal of the people closest to me, my mother and my husband. To name the two most important people. And then there were, everybody around my husband who also was involved in this. His co-workers and everything like that. So this was 2017. My son, or my baby daddy, I was not a mother at this point in time. My baby daddy, his father had passed away. So his mother passed, we got married in June of 2016, and his mom passed away like a week after we got married. And then he had an ex-girlfriend pass away that December of 2016, literally exactly 6 months to the day that his mother had passed away. And we watched her die on the sidewalk. That was fucking intense. And then in the end of February of 2017, his dad fell sick and ended up in like a nursing home, and we were visiting him in the nursing homes, and then he died too. He died at the end of February. So that was a lot to carry for someone that I had just met and married. We moved in, and we moved very quickly. I was love bombed. I didn't recognize what it was. This wasn't really like a social conversation at that point in time. Had it been, I probably wouldn't have been in this situations. But when his father passed away, it really brought up some of my own unresolved trauma around my father's death. And if you know about men don't really express themselves, especially unhealthy or toxic men. And a lot of that emotional labor is felt but not processed. So I was holding a lot of space for him that wasn't really being acknowledged, I guess is the word. I am a psychic medium, and his dad channeled through me. It scared everyone, but his dad came through and told me what happened, because he died. He shouldn't have died. He had been released and was in the care of this woman that called herself his daughter, but like she had quit her job and everything to like take care of him and like become his home health like very quickly. It was a very interesting situation, to say the least. And supposedly what happened was that his dad choked on like a hamburger or something. And it was funny because, when we would go visit him, that's what he wanted. He would always want like a fucking cheeseburger. And so when the message from him came through, I shared it with my husband, and I also kind of went after the woman because there was blame being acknowledged on her behalf. And I got locked up. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff that happened. There was some infidelity energy around the baby daddy, or my husband at the time, and one of his co-workers, and they were like taunting me with it. It was very gross. So there was a lot happening in this time. It was awful, first of all. But I had a little bit of a mental breakdown at his work, at his place of employment, because I was manic. I was in a space, right? Because I was unsupported. And I had went to his boss, or like the head of the place. I don't want to say too much. I've shared a lot about this organization, but there is fault in my situation. So put the pieces together. And I was like, I'm pregnant, and Dogon isn't acknowledging this. He's not listening to me. and nobody believed me because he's like a lot older than me. He's 25 years older than me. And so they were like, yeah, you can't have kids. I'm like, that doesn't work like that. I was like, I am pregnant, but no one believed me, and it was too early. Like, I'm very tapped in, and so everyone was like, oh, she's crazy. And then I had this moment because of the coworker and stuff, and I wasn't violent, but I was alarmingly aloof, I would say. I had information that everyone was like gaslighting me, right? And so I was like, okay, whatever. And then baby daddy was told I was a liability and that I needed to, I mean, there were embarrassing parts to this as well. I got like butt ass naked. I always do that when I'm manic. You know, and so yeah, they called my mom, and my mom was like, oh, she's having an episode. She needs to go to the mental institution. All right. The way that this was handled, the reason I call this trafficking is because then baby daddy, he had this, so his dad was a loan shark and a low-key dealer, pill dealer in downtown LA. And when he died, baby daddy, Dogon, inherited all of those pills. And you've heard me before say, you know, I'm like, you act like a hero during the day and you act like a predator at night, because he was circulating these things. And he was not telling me about it because he knew where I stood on it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And the day that he took me in, the first day that he took me in, was the day that I started smoking again. He was smoking, and I was like, give me one. Again, I'm manic. I'm pissed off. I am losing control of my life because other people are controlling it for me at this point in time. So I was like, give me a cigarette. I was like, give me a cigarette and a Coca-Cola. And I got locked up. But it wasn't even that. It was just like, he drove me 2 hours away, like north of LA, to some hospital. And he didn't tell me what was happening. And I got admitted, and as they were admitting me, I was just like begging him. I like literally wrapped my arms around his legs. I was like, please don't leave me here. Please don't fucking leave me here. Please don't leave me here. I had so much trauma from my experiences in Wisconsin, at the hands of my mother and my family. Basically, all of this, what this boils down to is that I have been emotionally abused. I've never been taken seriously, right? I've never been given the actual acknowledgement of my gifts up until this point, and that's why it's taken me a long time to even share that I have these abilities, because every time I have tried, people have retaliated and I've been criminalized. So I don't let people get close to me anymore, with good reason. So this, they drugged me up. They put an IV in me and gave me like sleep medicine, and that's exactly what they did in Wisconsin too. You just need to sleep. You just need to sleep. And I think this is one of the reasons, this is a side quest, but I think this is one of the reasons I was so enthralled by the show Riverdale, because a lot of the characters experienced some of the trauma that I have experienced, and it was really hard but also healing to watch it in a show and recognize how detrimental the things that were happening were, right? Because it kind of just validated my experience by watching it in the show, because no one really ever has. No one has really ever validated what has happened to me in my life, and they're wrong in it, and the pain that it caused me. So this first hospital, I was induced in some sort of, I don't know, delusion or psychosis. I don't know if it was MK Ultra. I know I've experienced MK Ultra, but there was some sort of mind control and emotional manipulation that was happening, whether it was like induced by psychosis. I saw things that while I was at that hospital that I shouldn't have been seeing. And they were things to invoke fear and paranoia and pain on me, right? Extreme heartbreak. And it was after they had given me those pills, and I was in this room. I remember the door, there was like, so it was just this like plain like little room, maybe like 8 feet by 10 feet, just enough room for a bed. And there were blinds on the window, and so I was looking out the window, the door on the window, the door had a window, and that's where the blinds were. And then there were these Africans who came in. They were nurses, but they were African, like African, not African American, African, which was very, very prevalent in all of my stays. Wow, this is going to be a long story. I'm actually recalling these things as they go. There was a lot that happened up until this point. I had been arrested by, I was at my friend Khadijah's house, and Dogon abandoned me because he had to do this thing, and, so I ended up being arrested at USC campus, which was like exactly what happened to me in Wisconsin. I was arrested on campus because I was abandoned, or I was, it's just like the emotional manipulation that I haven't deserved that. And so you can only take so much until you crash out, right? You crash out, and I'm a retired crash out, right? It's another reason I just don't hang out with people. I'm way better off alone. I don't trust anyone. Anyway, so when that happened, when that situation happened at my friend's, I think that was before this other situation happened, I think. Yeah, it was. So it was like for 2 months, he had just been, I don't know. It wasn't a good situation, and I already told you what his dad was going through, and like we were holding the space for that. I was going to visit with him and stuff like that. But anyway, so the trafficking part, I don't have to recall everything, sorry. But the trafficking part of this was that, after that first hospital, I do not have recollection of at least 2 to 3 weeks. I don't remember anything. I don't remember getting released from that institution. I don't remember being moved to any other institution. But I do remember, I don't remember. Baby daddy told me that I had, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh wow, I don't have the timeline right. I put this timeline together at one point. So at one point I was taken to a hospital. This must have been the same time as when I was having that crash out at my friend's house. Because I remember the dress I was wearing, but I don't know if I was wearing that dress. I don't know. But I was taken to the USC hospital, which is the county hospital in LA. I don't remember if this happened before or after that other situation I just shared. But for 6 months, so from March until August, I was in and out of hospitals and moved all over LA. That's the trafficking part. But I want to share some of the things that happened. Remember I told you that I told his boss I thought I was pregnant with twins, specifically. And they didn't believe me. And that was the day that baby daddy took me to that hospital. But before he took me to the hospital, the reason I told you about the pills is because we drove past this, where his dad used to live, and he gave the bag to someone. And then he came over and he said, I think I just sold you for that bag of pills. And then he took me to the hospital. And when I confronted him about saying that after the fact, he completely gaslit me. He said, I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about, which is our entire relationship can be summed up like that, right? I heard that constantly. And so I don't remember what happened to me, but at one point baby daddy said, so I think when my friend, when that happened, I think that was before he went to San Francisco for something, and that's when I had a crash out at my friends, and they thought I was on drugs. I'm like, I'm not on drugs. I'm like being abandoned by this person that I love, right? And like continuously, like I'm being emotionally abused, but I didn't have the language for it. I was just so deep in despair at the time. But when I went to the USC hospital, they did pregnancy tests on me. But I remember if you've never been in psychosis, no matter what gets you into psychosis, whether it's emotional abuse, drugs, just complete burnout, whatever it is, you actually do some pretty funny stuff. And one of the things I did was they kept giving me pregnancy tests or like cups to pee in, and I just filled them up with water and soap because I'm like, no, I need to protect what's in me. But then they drugged me up and passed me out, and then I had this like crazy ass vision, which I don't feel comfortable sharing because that's something that I need to keep close to me at this point. But I had a vision while I was put in like on these drugs. Anyway, so at one point I ended up in this one hospital. So baby daddy was like releasing me from like coming to get me after like doctors had cleared me, or like, so they were just like, they kept putting me on drugs and like moving me. So I was at USC, I was at this like like mental health drop-in center at one point. I was at the hospital. I was at all these mental facilities. I was in Long Beach, Venice, the Martin Luther King one, I think. Then there's Augustus Hawkins. I think that's 4 different ones, plus the one he dropped me off at, plus USC, plus this other drop-in center. It's at least 7. There's probably a couple I don't know about because I was drugged up. But they kept coming. They kept moving me. They would shackle me, and then there was this other time. I don't remember what part. Like I said, this whole 6 months, there's this one time that I was also ended up, he took me back to USC, and it was after that other situation, and I'm like, don't bring me back here, because I woke up and I felt like I had been raped. There's a feeling, like we can feel it when something was in us. And then baby daddy at one point, he was like, you bled. But I think that was like the very beginning, and I was like, was that a miscarriage? And he was like, yeah, because I brought you pads and stuff. And I was like, I don't have any memory of bleeding or being in this situation or changing anything. Like, I have no memory. Like I said, there's at least a few weeks that I have no memory of anything. And it's interesting because my best friend from home, when I was in Long Beach, I called her, or I talked to her, and I was talking to her about like how Monsanto was like corrupt and shit. And word got to her, I don't know if she made this up or if, but she had told people in my hometown, other friends from like high school, that I was drugged up on PCP, but I never took PCP. So that was interesting. And then another part of this was that I had my clitoral hood pierced, and after the 6 months, my piercing was gone. And I don't know what happened to it, but maybe, I don't know, sometime after that, after I got home in August, I found, so it was a barbell, and I found one of the balls to the barbell in our bedroom. And again, nobody ever, I had a really weird run-in with one of the Crips too, in the hood, like on our block at one point, where I told him I hated him, and he's like, oh, I'm getting laid tonight. So I don't know if my husband was drugging me and pimping me out. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I do know when I went to one of these facilities, one of the main guy, or like the day shift facilitator or whatever, he wasn't a nurse, but he was like, overseer. I don't know if you've ever been in a mental institution. I've been on a lot. But he was African, and he said, oh, it's good to see you again, Ashley. And this was the first time I had any memory of being in that facility. And my doctor was a Russian man, an old white Russian man. And I actually took him to court and won, because he was trying to put me on all these meds. And, I had already gotten my master's degree in this field of study. I was like, no. So for me, it felt like a test from the people around me. But there was also a lot of stuff I don't know. Like when that crash out happened at my friend's house on the campus, I think they took me in, and they didn't book me in jail. I think that from there they took me to the USC center, and I woke up there, and that's where I felt like I had been raped. There's so much I don't remember. But I think the crazy thing about it was the clit ring. And I actually that's what I was just trying to get pierced, and he didn't have the right needles and stuff. But I don't, it was a tiny barbell. It was just like these barbells that I have, but it was on my clit hood. So it was like one of these little balls I found in our bedroom. But I didn't find the other bar. But for it to have been taken out in our bedroom without my memory of it means that I was under some sort of substance when that happened. And I don't know who did that. I don't know if there's video footage of me. I don't know. I know that there were lots of bruises on me. I know that there was a lot of physical harm to my body. But for the most part, I was drugged. I was continuously drugged. And then when I got into Long Beach, I think Venice was the last one. So Long Beach, they were doing a lot of MK Ultra stuff at Long Beach. Long Beach was fun though, because I was a psychic and I was like getting all the... no, Long Beach wasn't the last one. There was another one. What was that one? That was at Long Beach. Where was that one? There was this one murderer I was talking to in one of them. He was fun though. We were shooting the shit. There's a lot of crazy people in mental institutions, myself included. If you give me the right ammo, I will crash out. There was so much mistreatment. The one in Long Beach, that's the one where all of those men. So this is really weird. Because there was the one in Long Beach, there was this nurse or, one of the day people. And he was a guy I went to high school with, Matt Lemon. And it was so weird because I was like, why the fuck are you here? And he was like, Ashley, what the fuck? And I still don't know if that was a delusion or not, because that was just really, we grew up in Wisconsin. So for him to be like, that was weird. But I used to talk a lot of shit to him, and there was one day, so that was the one where the men would always take me to the padded room and like put me face down and hold me down on this bed and like shoot my ass up with some medicine because I refused to take the meds. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm emotionally abused here and I am losing my mind because of it, right? There was another time that Dogon took me in to the hospital. I think this is the time I started telling you about. He said we were going to do something else, and he drove me to the hospital, and I tried to run away from him, and he caught me and took me in to the emergency room, and then I got shackled to a bed, and he took my purse and left while I was still coherent. But I remember because the doctor was like right here putting the drugs in the needles, and he took my purse and left. That was the same day, or that was the same hospital trip that I bit a doctor and got restrained and drugged. And then I tried to escape again and run to I really wanted a cigarette. And so I tried to run to the elevator, and they caught me and shackled me and put me in, they put me under drugs. And then I remember waking up from that one. There was a nurse in my room, so I had like a constant watch. I had a babysitter. Shit was painful, guys. Venice was cool. Venice wasn't a bad one. I liked the people in Venice. We just watched movies. There was this really cute nurse dude. He was a Rasta. He was hot. He was like really tall. He was hot. But I was married to a monster. Anyway, this is why my son is not growing up with his father around, and why I am keeping everything, doing everything I can. I'm tired, but some things are necessary. But yeah, there was a lot that happened. The guards fuck with people. The sheriffs were in the USC hospital. They were fucking with me hardcore. They were showing me pictures and shit, laughing at me. They were putting stuff in like the bathroom. It's really a horrible place if you ever end up on the other side within stuff. Yeah. The Long Beach stuff. Every time they did that, held me down. I know my thoughts are all over the place. This was the most traumatic time of my life. I don't think you can get much more traumatic than this. I mean, additional to like body, like beatings and torture and stuff, but there is a certain amount of psychological torture that I endured, which is why I am so loud about my beliefs, because if I can endure that and come out of it and be really smart, anyone can. It takes a lot of work though, and it takes walking away from all of the people that had a part in that, and that's why I say I don't participate in my own oppression. But yeah, that sucked a lot. It was very painful. Emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually. So when I am locked up in the institutions, I do a lot of art. I color. That was the only thing I did to escape, and that's another reason why I am doing the work I'm doing now. Even in the first time in Wisconsin, OT was just this room, and that's kind of what I've modeled this art stuff after, is the OT experience I had at that lockdown facility in Winnebago, Wisconsin. I was there for a year, court ordered. The interesting thing about the part of LA was that, so every time Dogon would like get the call and come and get me, I would freak out on him. I would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why do you keep bringing me back, you know? There was so much unresolved trauma because of what I was enduring that when I continued to see him, I would freak out. Like, that's legit, makes sense, right? I still don't like being around him. Like, even when he comes, I'm just like, I'm so irritated by him because, you know, it was his hand. When you get married to someone, you know, there's that saying, through sickness and through health, right? He just tossed me away a lot in that 6 months. There was this one chick that was a organizer, and she just came out of fucking nowhere, but she was like my babysitter. He like kept her at my house. Pretty sure they were fucking too. And I could tell that she was psychologically, she would like take me on the big bus. I remember one time we went all the way up to Hollywood, because I lived in the hood, which is like South LA, and we like Hollywood is North LA, and we like went all the way up to Hollywood, and she like took me to this park, and I thought I saw my mom and her husband, and I was just like not in a good, we got like a Little Caesar's pizza, and we like sat in the grass, and I was like, I want to go home. But she would smoke me up, so at one point I was like, what is this weed laced? Because he would keep her at my house to babysit me, and she would smoke me up. And she was the one that was helping me try to recall all of the dates and all of the movement that was happening, as well as she helped me take photos of my bruises and stuff, and that all disappeared off of my computer. All of those pictures, all of those bruises. And of course the cops were like, we didn't do those bruises, she did that to herself. But I had bruises all over my body. And so it was like, I don't know. I still don't know what fucking happened. I don't like talking about it because it sucked so much. And I don't think I'm ever going to talk about it again now that I've recorded this. But that's what happened. The best of my ability. For 6 months. And then when I got out, you know, that Russian doctor, I don't remember the order of the hospitals, but I already told you, I was everywhere. And I hated him. This made me hate him. And I still went to have a baby with him. What the fuck is wrong with me? I should have left. I wasn't strong enough to leave though, right? And I remember all of the men, or all the people around him. I remember one time I called his office trying to get in touch with him from one of the hospitals, and one of his coworkers who didn't like me, it was very obvious. It was like a very catty relationship. They didn't like me because I came out of nowhere and married this like hood ghetto superstar, right? What was I gonna say? Oh, she answered the phone the day that I was like, hey, it's Ashley, and she was like, uh-oh, and like hung up really quick, and I was like, what the fuck? So for me, it felt like everyone was in on it, and that was nasty. Hey, yeah, it's you and Mama. Yes, baby. Love you. Oh, what's in your hair? You want ice cream? Are you gonna try the new container ice cream? You want ice cream? It's a yes. So anyway, that's my story. Okay, I'll get you. Are you gonna eat it? The ice cream came in a new container because I got it from a different store. So we'll see. All right, have a good one.